Printing and the spread of journals. The revolution of knowledge in ancient China. For centuries, knowledge was a privilege of the elite. Handwritten scrolls preserved within palace walls and scholars' chambers. But then, a revolution began. One that would change history forever. With the invention of printing, China transformed from a world of handwritten manuscripts to one where books, journals, and records could be mass-produced and widely shared. It was a revolution of ideas, learning, and communication, paving the way for modern education, literature, and journalism. But how did this transformation happen? What were its origins, innovations, and lasting impacts? Join us as we explore the story of printing and the spread of journals in ancient China. The world before printing. A time of handwritten records. Before the invention of printing, all books and documents had to be painstakingly copied by hand. This meant that books were extremely rare and expensive. Only the wealthy elite and scholars could afford access to written knowledge. Errors were common, and texts could be easily lost or altered over time. During the Han Dynasty, 206 BCE, 220 CE, scholars used bamboo slips tied together with strings to record important writings. Later, silk scrolls became more common. But it wasn't until the invention of paper during the Eastern Han Dynasty, around 105 CE, that China took its first step toward a printing revolution. The birth of printing. The Tang Dynasty's breakthrough. The real turning point came during the Tang Dynasty, 618 to 907 CE, with the invention of woodblock printing. This technique allowed texts to be mass-produced for the first time in history. How did woodblock printing work? A craftsman would carve characters onto a wooden block. Ink was applied to the carved surface. A sheet of paper was pressed onto the block, transferring the inked characters. Multiple copies could be made quickly and efficiently. One of the most famous early printed works was the Diamond Sutra, 868 CE, the world's oldest surviving printed book. It was a Buddhist scripture, beautifully printed with illustrations and detailed characters. This marked the beginning of a new era where texts could be distributed beyond royal courts and monasteries. Scroll visuals. The Diamond Sutra unfolding, intricate Chinese characters coming into view. With the spread of woodblock printing, books and journals became more affordable, allowing scholars, merchants, and even common citizens to access knowledge like never before. The Song Dynasty. The age of movable type printing. Books visuals. Scholars in a study, movable type blocks being arranged, books stacked in libraries. While woodblock printing was revolutionary, it still had limitations. It was slow and expensive because each new book required a new wooden block to be carved. Then came a groundbreaking invention by Sheng, 990 to 1051 CE. During the Song Dynasty, 960 to 1279 CE. Movable type printing. How did movable type work? Instead of carving an entire page into wood, individual characters were carved onto small clay or wooden blocks. These characters could be rearranged to form new pages without having to carve new blocks each time. This allowed faster and more efficient printing, making books and journals even more widely available. This innovation led to a boom in knowledge production, with books on medicine, agriculture, philosophy, and literature becoming accessible across China. Open book visuals. Ancient bookstores, scholars eagerly reading, students practicing calligraphy with printed books as references. Movable type printing revolutionized education, allowing schools to provide textbooks to more students, government officials to print and distribute laws and policies, historians and scholars to record their knowledge for future generations. The rise of printed journals and newspapers. Visuals. Early newspapers being printed, vendors selling news bulletins, government officials reading reports. As printing technology improved, so did the distribution of information. By the late Song Dynasty, China saw the rise of printed journals and newspapers. One of the earliest newspapers in the world was Kaiyuan Za Bao, the Capital Gazette, which appeared in the Tang Dynasty. This was a government publication that kept officials informed about laws, policies, and important events. During the Ming, 1368 to 1644 CE, and Qing, 1644 to 1912 CE, dynasties, printed private newspapers and commercial journals became popular, spreading news about politics and military affairs, scientific and medical discoveries, cultural and literary works. For the first time, ordinary people could stay informed about national affairs, business trends, and social issues, paving the way for modern journalism. The lasting legacy of China's printing revolution. Scroll visuals, modern libraries, digital ebooks, a printing press at work. China's invention of printing changed the world forever. It influenced the development of print culture in Europe, leading to Gutenberg's printing press in the 15th century. The spread of education and literacy in Asia and beyond. The birth of newspapers, mass publishing, and the modern knowledge economy. Today, printing has evolved into digital formats, yet the principles remain the same. To preserve knowledge, spread ideas, and connect people across generations. Outro. Call to action. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of printing and the spread of journals in ancient China. If you found this video informative and fascinating, don't forget to white heavy checkmark like this video. White heavy checkmark subscribe for more historical explorations. White heavy checkmark comment below. What do you think was the most important impact of printing in history? Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep the spirit of knowledge alive.